Hi there, welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. This week we want to talk about hiring new marketers. Do you go for existing skills and experience, or do you put your faith in someone who maybe lacks the skills and experience on paper, but you just believe that they've got that raw natural talent to be something special in the long term? Now, to be honest, this is a point of constant contention for Nick and I, and I'd like to think it's a real challenge, real dilemma for all marketing agencies. So anyway, to kick things off, supporting the side of skills and experience, I'll hand over to Nick.
When we started Inbound sort of 4 years ago now, we've always been trying to evolve and develop our recruitment process as much as we can, looking at kind of how we can scale it with the company, but also how we can make it more successful at picking the right candidates for certain roles. Now, when it comes to recruitment, you've kind of got two ends of the spectrum. You've got, on the one hand, raw talent and enthusiasm for the role, and on the other, you've got experience and what they can bring to the company from that. Now, for me, if you had a choice between raw talent and experience, I would go with experience every time. Not least because there's clear value with experience. So when you're hiring someone and you know the role that they're going to fill, you can predict accurately, or at least fairly accurately, how much value that would actually add to the company and to the team. When it comes to hiring raw talent and just general enthusiasm, there's a lot of unknowns that come with that. So in the interview process, they may have been really keen on being client-facing, or they had a particular area in the role that they really wanted to develop. Now, that's great at the time, but what you'll find is over 12 months that usually changes quite heavily. Not only that, but experience brings systems and knowledge to the company and to the team. So in a lot of small businesses, they actually are trying to recruit for roles that haven't actually been filled before and are completely new to the business. By hiring someone with experience, you can quickly bring them in and they can quite rapidly start leading that area to some extent, whereas with raw talent, you don't have that ability. And finally, experience is scalable. If you've got roles that you know you need filling, you can fill them much quicker. When you're hiring raw talent, you're looking at a much longer training process to go through, 6 to 12 months usually. They can be hugely time consuming, can be quite costly as well, and just overall more risky. Now, it's not to say that actually with hiring experience there is a cost associated. Yes, the cost of actually hiring that person is always a lot higher. But actually, if you know your numbers, you know the role that you want to fill, then you'll find that your recruitment process is overall much more effective.
Cool, so now I'm going to argue in favour of talent. So I'm going to begin by just running through a little study that was conducted by a company called Leadership IQ in America, and it was reported within Forbes magazine. Now, the study looked at 20,000 new hires, and interestingly, within the first 18 months of these new hires in their roles, 46% actually failed, so they were released from their positions, which is a pretty remarkably high number. But even more interesting, 89% of those 46% that failed due to a lack of soft skills, i.e. a lack of motivation, a lack of coachability. So in the sense that on day 300, they were adding more or less the same value as they've been adding on day 3, and a lack of emotional intelligence. Only 11% failed due to a lack of hard technical skills. Now, it's not to say that these hard technical skills don't matter. Of course, to perform any job really well, you have to have a certain skill set. But it's to say that in most roles, those skills can actually be acquired. They can be learned. So at this point, I'm going to refer to my slightly confusing and very cramped chart here, but I'll talk you through it. So on the x-axis, we have experience, skills. On the y-axis, we have raw talent. So if we start with this box here, so those people who are maybe only kind of, in terms of raw talent, probably never going to set the world on fire, but they've got the existing skills. On paper, you can see that yes, they can do the job, they can add value from day one. Now, these people are probably going to be fairly moderately priced. They'll be able to hit the ground running. From day one, they can crack on with the job, but they're likely to plateau quickly. So they'll pretty quickly hit their full potential, and that's going to be that. Conversely, we then have those people who don't have the existing skills and experience, but you just believe that this person has something a bit special about them that could make them perfect for the role in the long term. Now, these people are probably going to be fairly low price in comparison to these people. They're going to be very hungry and eager to learn because they know that they don't have the skills yet. They know that they need to learn it. They're going to be culturally very malleable. So in terms of turning them into the kind of person that you want them to be a great ambassador for the company, this sort of person, you'll really be able to mould them. Their skills as well will be quite transferable. So if the role actually evolves into something slightly different, or perhaps more likely they they move up the company, they become more senior, they take on more managerial responsibilities, they'll probably be able to adapt to those too. And ultimately, whatever the nature of the role, they'll progress quickly, and they'll progress into this box here, which is obviously the ultimate combination of talent and experience. Now, obviously you'd rather have everyone in this box from day one, but a couple of points on this. First of all, if you did hire people just purely in this box, they're probably culturally going to be a lot less malleable, which might be okay 9 times out of 10, but sometimes you just might get someone who doesn't fit, and it's going to be very difficult to change them. But much more of a likely issue is that they're just going to be prohibitively costly to most small businesses. So unless you're prepared to relinquish a big chunk of equity, hiring people in this box, it just isn't an option. So you're left with either this option or that option, and for me, it's this every time. Although I will just concede a couple of exceptions: designers, developers, and any other very technical role where actually the hard skills would take years to acquire and perhaps the soft skills aren't so important anyway. Yeah, I'd accept in those circumstances, it probably makes more sense over here. So anyway, I imagine Nick and I are no closer to agreeing on this matter, but if you've got any thoughts or opinions on it, either from an employee's point of view or indeed from an employer's point of view, obviously we'd love to hear them. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.